Hello and welcome back to another video. I hope everyone's doing good and I hope everyone's doing well. Now today we are looking at the Nigeria squad that's been released. That will of course take on the Algerian national team on the 27th of September. Always a big game for them when Algeria play Nigeria, two heavyweight nations of the continent who both unfortunately won't be going to the World Cup on away goals. So this is obviously for me a better squad than the one that we're going to be up against for the Guinea game. I think there's far better quality in the Nigeria squad and it'll be a far better test for us, although we have done quite well against the Nigerians in recent years. So starting off with the goalkeepers, you've got Ozohu, you've got Okoye and you've got Adelaye. Now of course Okoye was in goal at AFCON when he made a bit of an error against Tunisia, and ultimately Tunisia won that game 1-0. Although he is at Watford at the moment, he seems to be not the main keeper in the Championship. He's played a few games, I think a couple of games in the cup competitions and stuff, and in friendly. So Maduka Okoye, although at Watford, might not necessarily be Nigeria's number one, unless they're working towards that, of course, because he did play that AFCON round of 16 game against Tunisia, but his mistake ultimately, in my opinion, got his country knocked out of the competition. So you could argue that the goalkeeping spot might actually be Nigeria's weakest area. Then in defence you've got Troost Ekong, of course another player from the setup at Watford. You've got Balogun, who was at Rangers last season on the way to that Europa League final. Of course he's left Rangers now. Ola Aina, born in England I believe, plays for Nigeria, the right back, had spells in the Premier League at Chelsea and at Fulham, and nearly joined West Ham at the summer, although he's been enjoying his football in Italy in recent years. He's a good player. As well, you've got Calvin Bassey, another player that was at Rangers. He's at Ajax this season. Calvin Bassey, for me, is a top-class centre-back, a very versatile player, and a player that could go on to be one of Africa's greatest defenders of all time. That is how highly I regard Calvin Bassey. So, whoever's up against him is going to have their work cut out. You've got Awaziem, of course, who used to come through the system at Porto. You've got Amaruo, who used to be at Chelsea. And then you've got Sanusi, the left back at Porto, who again very highly regarded, and you've got Akpaguma, another player that switched to Nigeria in recent years with a German background. So that's their defence. I think there's some solid players in there, the likes of Aina, the likes of Troost Ekong, the likes of Balogun, Bassey for sure. Sanusi's a very good left back. We'd be surprised if he doesn't get a big move, if not already. So a good defence Nigeria are bringing to Oran. Then on to their midfield, not that many out-and-out centre midfielders. You've got Wilfred Ndidi in there. We know what he's all about at Leicester City. A very, very good player, Ndidi. One of the best defensive-minded midfielders in the Premier League. You've got Onyeka as well, who's at Brentford, another club in the Premier League. You've got Raphael Onyedika, and you've actually got Alex Iwobi, who Frank Lampard has sort of morphed into this centre midfield player. Unfortunately for me, played well against West Ham in his last game. I think Iwobi's actually assisted Everton's last 2 goals in the Premier League, and he didn't actually score that many goals. It reminds me of when Sofiane Feghouli was playing as an out-and-out winger on the right-hand side and then sort of became a central midfield player over the years. And I think we're seeing the same transition with Alex Iwobi. So Alex Iwobi in there as a centre midfield player, and the amount of attacking options Nigeria have called up is remarkable. And you've got the likes of Osimhen, who's not even here, I think he's injured, and Emmanuel Dennis, another player who's at Watford, but hasn't really, set the ground running at Nottingham Forest since moving there in the Premier League this summer. But you've got Awoniyi, who's got 2 goals this season for Forest in the Premier League. You've got Ahmed Musa. Musa seems like he's been around forever. I remember when he was at Leicester as well. This guy's been around for a long time, a very long time. I don't even think he's even that old. Of course, played well for Nigeria at the last World Cup in Russia. You've got Moses Simon, very impressed with him at the last AFCON. You've got Chukwueze. Chukwueze was very highly regarded by Nigerians a few years ago. I don't know if they still hold that much potential in him. You've got Lookman, who was at Leicester last season. He came through the England youth setup. He's now at Atalanta. You've got Mofi, who started very well in League Up with Lorient. You've got another player at Leicester, Kelechi Iheanacho. These are some top clubs that they're playing at, by the way. And you look at the clubs of the Algeria squad and you compare it to the clubs of the Nigeria squad, and it's not even a match on paper, which is, funnily enough. You've got Desers as well, another foreign-born player that switched. You've got Ajuke and you've got Henry Onyekuru, who did he go to Everton a few years ago? Very nearly did. He went to Monaco, then he ended up in Turkey. Of course, Henry Onyekuru was the guy that was lying behind the wall when Algeria played them in the semi-final and Mahrez scored the free kick. It was Henry Onyekuru lying behind the wall. That's a really good Nigeria squad, and just seeing that squad for me makes it an even bigger shock that they haven't gone to the World Cup either. I know they lost to Ghana on the away goals rule as well, but there was more than enough quality there for Nigeria to be very disappointed not to be at that tournament. And considering they would have been with Uruguay and South Korea, that's a real opportunity they could have had there to get into the last 16 of the tournament in Qatar. So that's the Nigeria squad. All those names we've just talked about will be there in Oran when they face Algeria. It's going to be a good test. You'll probably see a stronger Algeria team against Nigeria and a bit more of an experimental one against Guinea. But we'll talk about that in the coming days in the match preview. But I hope everyone's doing well. Let me know your thoughts if you're Nigerian or Algerian or wherever on the Nigeria squad in the comments down below. I think they're actually going to be playing Portugal as well, but that might not be this month. But thanks for watching, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.